номер как положено.
Ну, так. Ну, я думаю, будемо починати. Так, ну, dear colleagues, let's start.
Давайте.
I am Tatiana Говорущенko, General Chair of the first International Workshop on Intelligent Information Technologies and Systems of Information Security, IntelITSIS 2020. Thank you all for participating in our workshop, for your interesting papers. I am glad to welcome all of you to our workshop, but unfortunately online, not within the walls of our Khmelnytskyi National University. This workshop is organized by Computer Engineering and System Programming Department of Khmelnytskyi National University with the support of the public organization Ukrainian Scientific and Educational IT Society. The IntelITSIS 2020 focuses on all technical and practical aspects of the latest research and results of international scientists and practitioners related to intelligent information technologies and information security systems. This workshop provides opportunities to exchange new ideas, to establish business or research relations, and to find global partners for future collaboration. I hope that the workshop results make a significant contribution to the development of intelligent information technologies and information security systems in Ukraine. The program of our workshop includes a plenary session today, now from 2 till 5 p.m., two sections. Section first, intelligent information technologies, and section second, systems of information security, which will take place tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, according to program. As well as awards and close ceremony, which will take place on Friday, June 12th from 4 p.m. Kyiv time. I invite everyone to attend all the events of our workshop. I wish everyone good support and interesting presentation. Welcome. Next speaker who will say greetings words is Professor Oleg Stenyuk, Vice-Rector of Khmelnytskyi National University. Welcome, Oleg Mykolaievich.
Dear conference participants, dear organizers and co-organizers of the first International Workshop on Intelligent Information Technologies and Systems of Information Security. It is a great joy to greet you all. I am very pleased that I have to speak at conferences of such a level, world level. Publication of conference materials in Scopus and Web of Science is world level. The results of scientific and technical activities should have practical value and scientific knowledge. They should be placed in well-known international publications and put into production. Our university has powerful research and production laboratories as well as research centers of various profiles. Basic and applied research in many priority areas of science and technology are performed in our university. I believe that the priority area for the development of science in our university is an increase the volume of service and developments under business agreements and international ground. There are still enough scientists in Ukraine who have significant knowledge and skills, practical experience, and critically think and evaluate and process. The main task of our country and university is to create the conditions for the transformations of this potential into the driving force in the growth of production and economy and in Ukraine and the well-being of each of us. The opportunity to publish the results of our research at conferences of the same level will allow us enter the world scientific space. I wish other participants to see many interesting presentations, to participate in constructive discussions, and to discover something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oleg Mykolaievich. Next welcome speech will say by Professor Vyacheslav Kharchenko, National Aerospace University, Kharkiv Aviation Institute, Ukraine, President of Public Organization, Ukrainian Scientific and Educational IT Society. Welcome, Vyacheslav Sergeyevich.
Thank you very much, Tatiana, Professor Govorushenko. It's my big pleasure to thanks for organization, for organization of this workshop. I think now we have a very challengeable time. Why? Because we have challenges related to COVID pandemic, and it is bad news. But we have good news related to COVID because we have possibility to analyze, use new means for communication and new possibility for our joint work. I congratulate organizer of this workshop with interesting topics. I think he understands that crossing artificial intelligence technology and cyber security is very interesting, very important topic for all of us. My invitation from a few communities. First of all, I would like to say invitation from my department, Computer System Networks and Cyber Security, National Space University, Kharkiv, and Kharkiv region Center Industry 4.0, and community of other conference. I hope to know our conference, CERT, Dependable Systems, Services, Technology, and I think we have special relay race from the CERT to IntelITSIS. And my congratulations from our Ukrainian scientific and educational IT society. And I would like to wish all participants of this conference to hear interesting reports, have interesting discussion, and to get possibility communicate in new very interesting areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vyacheslav Sergeyevich. Next speaker who will say greetings words is Dr. Sergey Lysenko, Khmelnytskyi National University, Ukraine, co-chair of International Program Committee of Workshop. Welcome, Sergey.
Hello, dear colleagues, dear participants. I'm glad to welcome you to opening session of our workshop. I wish all you fruitful work and success, and I hope that each of us will have a wonderful experience and new knowledge. So good luck to everybody. Let's start.
Great, thanks. Now we will have the following presentation about IntelITSIS 2020 trends. I am a speaker. Now I will share my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. First, I am Tatiana Govorushenko, grant of the IntelITSIS 2020, our first international workshop on intelligent information technologies and systems of information security. Our workshop is organized by Computer Engineering System Programming Department of Khmelnytskyi National University and with the support of the public organization Ukrainian Scientific and Educational IT Society. The IntelITSIS 2020 was originally planned to have a physical location, Khmelnytsky, Kamenetska Street 112, building number 1st of Khmelnytskyi National University, but the physical meeting was cancelled by authorities of Ukraine due to coronavirus COVID-19. So unfortunately now this event is conducted remotely in video conferencing format using the Zoom platform. General chairs of the first international workshop on intelligent information technologies and systems of information security are Tatiana Govorushenko and Professor Oleg Sabanko, Khmelnytskyi National University, Ukraine. Chairs of the International Program Committee are Dr. Sergei Lysenko, Khmelnytskyi National University, and Dr. Peter Popov, City University of London, United Kingdom. Organizing committee chairs are Professor Alexander Barmak and Dr. Yelizaveta Gnachuk, Khmelnytskyi National University, Ukraine. International Program Committee has 36 members, more than 97% of the IntelITSIS 2020 International Program Committee members have more than 10 DBLP papers. There are the representatives of 9 Ukrainian universities and 15 universities from around the world: United Kingdom, USA, Austria, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Turkey, Poland, Estonia, and Greece. First international workshop on intelligent information technologies and systems of information security received 91 submissions from Ukraine and the world. The IntelITSIS 2020 joint scientists from Ukraine, United Kingdom, USA, Austria, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Turkey, Poland, Kazakhstan, Estonia, Germany, Belarus, Indonesia, and Greece. In general, the representatives from 22 universities from around the world, 5 industrial partners, and 69 Ukrainian universities, colleges, and lyceums submitted their papers to participate in the workshop. On this slide, you can see list of Ukrainian universities, colleges, and lyceums. On the next slide, you can see list of the industrial partners and universities from around the world, the representatives of which submitted the papers on workshop. All papers were evaluated by 2 or 3 reviewers. Based on the reviews, a rating of papers was compiled. Papers with a positive average scores were accepted for presentation at the workshop. According to the decision of the International Program Committee, 32 papers were conditionally accepted for presentation at the workshop. We received camera-ready papers, which were also evaluated by reviewers. It was checked whether all comments and recommendations were taken into account. The main reasons of the paper's rejection are low quality of submission, inconsistency with topic of the workshop, and inconsistency with the computer science domain. As a result, only 30 camera-ready papers are accepted for presentation at the workshop. The scientists from Ukraine, United Kingdom, USA, Austria, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Turkey, Poland, Estonia, Belarus, and Greece take part in IntelITSIS 2020. In general, the representatives from 19 universities from around the world, 3 industrial partners, and 28 Ukrainian universities, colleges, and lyceums take part in the workshop. So 50 institutions take part in the first international workshop on intelligent information technologies and systems of information security. We will have 16 presentations on intelligent information technologies section and 14 presentations on systems of information security section. So, sorry. So final acceptance rate is 33%. And I wish everyone fruitful work and interesting presentations. Well, we propose next plenary presentation is Big Safety and Big Accidents, Big Data versus Black Swan. Professor Vyacheslav Harchenko, National Aerospace University, HAI, Center for Safety Infrastructure Oriented Research and Analysis Center, RPC Radi, Ukraine. Please, Vyacheslav Sergeyevich.
Thank you very much, Professor Govorushenko. Dear colleagues, do you see my presentation? Is okay?
No.
No?
No.
I 1 minute. Now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Right. Now it's okay?
Yes.
Okay, dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to invite you for discussion topic related to safety, accidents, big data, and black swan. Why we will talk about this directions, these challenges, I'll say later. Now I would like to present our organization, which are represent at the workshop. It is our National Aerospace University, HAI, our Ukrainian Scientific Educational IT Society, and research and production company Radi. You know this company because a lot of you participated in our first conference dessert, which were located in this industry plant. Okay, a very short information about myself. It's just no comment, just photos. It's pre-COVID-19 time. We have a lot of possibility to travel on the world and possibility to communicate offline. Now we have some other situation, just work online. In our university today, we have more soft mode of quarantine, but in general we have a lot of limitation. And I hope that when it will be finished, our fields will be such one. Okay, about our organization and our cooperation. We have triangular of our university, our department, and the Center for Infrastructure Safety Research and Analysis, research and production company Radi, which is located in Kropivnitsky, and a group of independent verification validation in Poltava. We a lot of time cooperate with our nuclear power plant industry, especially this company Radi, which is one of the leader of development, introduction, and implementation of safety-related instrumentation control system for our industry. It's a map of our department. We have a lot of different industry laboratory, R&D laboratory, and I market special two of them. It's R&D labs on industrial cybersecurity in the context of Industry 4.0 and Center for Cybersecurity, which is located now in framework our big Horizon 2020 project ECHO. It's a map of our international contacts, and I want to say a few words about Horizon 2020 ECHO project. It's a big European network and cybersecurity center and competences hub, which will be located in 12 countries of European Union and Ukraine. We represent Ukraine in framework of this project. I'll talk about this project later. Our short information about our industry colleagues, industry partners, Research and Production Corporation Radi. I would like to say that Radi last year got a certificate of Nuclear Regulatory Committee United States. This now just 7 companies got such certificate to meet strong requirements of United States NRC committee, including Lockheed Martin, Westinghouse, Mitsubishi, Siemens, and so on. And Radi is the 7th organization which got certificate on FPGA-based platform, which used for development and production instrumentation control system for nuclear and other critical domains. Plan of my talks is the following. I would like to discuss, first of all, some concepts related to critical computing. It's well-known issues as dependability, safety, security, and of course we will discuss some issues related to COVID pandemic. And then I would like to discuss largest accidents and crashed in context of big data analysis, in context of security and safety. Next part, my presentation will be dedicated to analysis of Black Swan theory in point of view topics of our workshop and my presentation. A few industrial case I'll present in the last part of my presentation. And my acknowledgements to Professor Mikhail Istrebinetsky, Dr. German Fisenko, Dr. Svetlana Yeremchuk, Dr. Valentina Butenko, and Anastasia Strelkina as well, who is a review of our joint result in this area. Okay, let's start about computing and about attributes and requirements to such kind of system. Usually we have two different kinds of requirements. There's a functional and non-functional. We understand why and which attributes requirements are more important, functional or non-functional. Of course, we have to assure, if we are engineers, researchers, we have to assure both of these attributes. We know 2 crashes of Boeing 737 MAX, which occurred 2 years ago. during these two crashes, during 6 months, more than 400 people were dead. Which reason of this this crash? Main reasons of these crashes are in models of system, in software, in construction of control system, and plus environment issue. But we as engineers have to conclude which errors are fatal for such kind of situation. I have not enough time to discuss, to analyze this crash in details, but it is one of the example of consequences of errors of engineers and the failure of systems. Hence, if you talk about critical system, first of all, we should say about non-functional attributes, non-functional requirements. It concerns this list of different characteristics, beginning of dependability, reliability, and a lot of different abilities. In framework of our discussion, we will talk about, first of all, security and safety. But we understand that these attributes are part of a big set. Hence, we talk about big safety, big security in point of view correlation of all these characteristics. Taxonomy of these main concepts can be presented as a connection between threats, information and technical states, and attributes, mechanism, fault tolerance and intrusion tolerance, a set of primary attributes, beginning of reliability and to security, and some secondary attributes, plus additional set of concept related to resilient system. And resilience is a big separate problem, and in frame of my presentation I'll talk more about safety and security. Dependable system, which we'll discuss, is a system where safety, security and reliability attributes are joined to deliver services that can justifiably be trusted in different conditions, including unspecified failures, changing of requirements, changing of environments, parameters, and so on. Okay, we talk about safety and security, or cyber security and cyber safety. This difference between these two attributes. In Ukraine, we have and other Slavic language, we have word безопасность, безпека, безпеченство, which is the core of safety and security, and functional and information security, безпека, it's at this concept. If you talk about safety, in this case, we need to analyze influence of system into environment. If you talk about security, we need to analyze influence of environment. First of all, information environment into system. These concepts we discussed, we researched in our two books, which were published in Egypt Global United States editions, and second one will publish in end of this year, where we analyze a connection between safety and security for nuclear power plants and other critical systems in context of COVID pandemic. Okay, as we talk about big safety and security as a set of different sides of безопасность. The first one is a functional safety, and you see systems where these attributes are very important. Next one is information, computer, and cyber security. Next one is physical IT security, and a lot of other sides, including internet safety, and safety and labor protection. Hence, there are a lot of different sides of safety and security, and we need to analyze all connection of these attributes. Hence, we can talk about three different spaces. If you talk about functional safety, in the space of signal device level or operation technology. If you talk about information or computer or cyber security, we need talk about data space level. And the last one is a physical IT security. In this case, we talk about physical space level. In context of Industry 4.0, these attributes are connected. And in one of our publication, we suggested general security and safety management system, which join information space, signal space, and environment space as well. Sorry. Today we have time of COVID pandemic, and there are additional challenges related to influence of COVID issue into different kind of more traditional in front of you information technology safety and security as information security, functional safety. How infection safety can influence into more technical safety and security. After beginning of COVID, a lot of countries, a lot of government organization and nuclear power plant administration made decision related to minimization risks of influence in infection safety into nuclear safety. It was such activity as total testing and health control of personnel, regular testing, isolation of crews, special transport, and so on. It's very interesting topic because COVID can influence into information security as well. There are a lot of publication related to this point in influence. One of such white paper was published by our ECHO project Horizon 2020 community as COVID-19 hackers mindset, and you see that as a conclusion of this white book, we can say about pandemic. COVID offers cyber attacker unique opportunity to leverage existing attack tactics, technique, procedure, and in this case, human factor and emotion are additional influence attribute into IT security. Hence, we need to take into account this issue, and this scheme explains this influence more theoretically, but we understand that such influence exists. Next, our part of discussion related to more understandable issues connected with fatal errors of programmer, failure of equipment, attacks into system. These statistics for different critical domains as nuclear power plants, space control system, health IT system, aviation, automotive, and so on. We have that every year we have additional challenges, additional failure caused by faults, software faults, physical faults, and attacks on system. Okay, let's talk about big data and Internet of Things as blood system for all technical applications, different from different domains. If you talk about big data, we keep in mind a lot of different V. Volume, velocity, variety, value, veracity of data. We can analyze influence and new challenges related to application Internet of Things in different domains. In this case, we can talk about IoT equals IoT. It's IoT, Internet of Things equals Internet of Threads. Why? Because more nodes, more communication, and more data and more threads. The similar Internet of Everything or IOE equal IOE. Internet of Everything equal Internet of Emergencies. More vulnerabilities, more attacks, more failure, and more risk of emergencies. There are a lot of different facts when communication, when application of Internet of Things become reason of crashes, reason of failure, fatal failures. In statistics, company Cisco for our automotive system, such as vehicle-to-vehicle, vehicle-to-infrastructure, and there are a lot of examples, successful attack and the changing of road, arbitrary self, more Internet of Things, more threats, more data, more vulnerabilities. And so our task to make IoT as Internet of Trust, to make IoE as Internet of Enjoy. Very brief analysis of different point of information technology, safe, secure, and green in context of big data. If you talk about green IT, we understand that less data, more green. We understand why, because less data, less energy consumption, less energy resources, and so on. If you talk about safety, in this case, we can conclude that more data, we can assure more safe application, because we can analyze a lot of information to make decision. Concerning security, in this case, we have controversial situation, because less risk of intrusion, less data access, and less services blocking. How it influence into, or how it depends on data. More or less data is better in point of view security. Other analysis related to crossing part of green safety and security IT. In this case, we can talk about cost-effective approach to safety, minimum power consumption, cost to assure acceptable risk, and if you talk about crossing of green IT and security, we talk about lightweight cryptography technologies, and in this case, less data. It's better for lightweight cryptography and so on. To combination big data and other kind of data science, artificial intelligence, and safety, security, and dependability issue. For 2 years, for 1 year, beginning 2017 to 2018, number of publication related combination of these two words was increased into 12 times. Yesterday I checked one of these combination, and big data safety, we have more than 6 billion reference, and hence increasing of this problem 4 times for 20 months. How big data influence and can be useful for safety and security? We analyzed a few critical domains such as nuclear, aviation, health system, banking, and so on, according with simple criteria: how and where big data made available, why can big data be applied, and the risk of big data analytics application. You see a result of this analysis. It's an expert assessment. It's not a very deep research. It's just expert assessment. For example, if you talk about nuclear power plant instrumentation and control, application of big data can improve maintenance of such systems, considering a lot of different systems, instrumentation control system, which are applied in nuclear power plant. Hence, in this case, we can improve safety using big data, but there are additional risks for security in point of view application exploit of some vulnerabilities of this data. We will talk about this issue later. Similar situation in health, in different kind of health system, control and monitoring system. Okay, and the analysis of a few accident in point of view possibility of application big data analysis. One of them is accident crashes of the biggest warship in Sweden a lot of years ago. I hope you know this history, who been in Stockholm in a museum where this ship now is presented, and we can analyze reasons of this accident. It was imperfect construction, first of all, overloading, lots of passengers, capital officials, and so on, and strong wind. Hence, three reasons of this crash. Next one, good, well-known accident, Titanic. In this case, we have the following list of reasons: imperfect construction, business issues, iceberg as environment, and crew error. Next one of the is the first accident in nuclear, is the 3 Mile Island 40 years ago, and main reasons of this crash was failure of supply pump, technical issue, error during repair before, human issue, and operator team errors as well, human reason. Next one, Challenger. You know this crash, main reasons: explosion of engine caused by inelastic sealant, the technical issue, business or prestige loss, and strong wine in day of launch. And Chernobyl tragedy, main reasons: imperfect construction and wrongdoing of manager and operation. Okay, now it is a sarcophag building, and the level of radiation is less than is sent in Kiev, Kharkiv, and Khmelnytsky as well. Fukushima, reasons of this accident: tsunami, imperfect construction, and management activities in point of view recovery issue. Hence, to summarize this analysis, we can talk about three main reasons of accidents: design anomalies, human factors, errors, and environment, and different sides of these reasons. Additional subtopic which I would like to discuss is the topic of black swan. What does it mean, black swan? So-called black swan events are highly unlikely to happen, but would have severe consequences if they did. And question is, are the accident which we have analyzed black swan, or it is another issue? Let's very shortly talk about black swan theory. Nassim Khaleb is author of this theory. He is not engineer, he is more philosopher. And a very interesting point is a question which was asked him: is COVID-19 black swan or not? He said no. Question: why? Because we thought about COVID as January 2020. we can discuss really is COVID pandemic black swan or not. In my opinion, it is a black swan or maybe a gray swan. And we prepared with Professor Strebinetsky paper which was accepted for publication: nuclear power safety and big safety in the time of COVID. And we analyzed different strategy to tolerate black swan accident events. It can be a posteriori strategy to minimize of damage, a priori or proactive strategy to avoid of black swan, strategy of color changing from black to gray, from gray to white, and additional interesting point is a pack of black swans. In this case, we talk about selection of single black swan to minimize consequences of all of them. Let's back to our table. You can see a result of our analysis. These six accident in point of view, it is a black swan or not. And can big data analytics tools help to predict, to minimize consequences of these accidents in time when this accident was happening? Very shortly, a few industrial industrial case where we use big data for big safety and security. One of them is multi-version Internet of Drones based nuclear power plants accident monitoring system. This system consists from different share of sensors, communication, and crisis center. We suggested to add existed systems which based on wire communication. Is a system PAMS, post-accident monitoring system. We suggested to add this system fleet of drones and different sensors based on Wi-Fi, Li-Fi, and IoT technology, and to deploy additional internet center based on private cloud services to have duplicated critical center to get more information and to make decision considering all such information. Next one, in this case, we have typical structure for reactor trip system for nuclear power plants. It's a structure based on Radix platform company Radi. And in this case, problem is how we can assure high level of availability such system, and how we can assess and assure a high level of diversity of this system, because in this case we have two systems, main and diverse, which have the same structure, 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4 majority logic, but first system based on one kind of technology, one kind of product and process, and second one use other technology and other process support. Question is how we can get information about influence of different technical issue of platform or process on risk of common cause failure, because it's the main challenge for such system, how minimize common cause failure for such system, and how assure 9 digits, 5 digits 9 after comma. It's one of the models which we developed to assess availability. It is not a complete model. Model in general is more complex and consists of thousands states. Other example, when we use Internet of Things and big data analysis for patient with diabetics using mobile devices and using collection of data about parameters of patients to monitor state and to make decision related to health and inject of insulin for such patient. In this case, we have developed models which consist of more 500 states, which can assess availability of such system and security of this system and safety in case of control function application. And last example related to application big data analysis for prediction software reliability and security using special cyber robots for collection information about similar software, similar program and products. In this case, we use special tools to collect information and to assess metrics for similar software, and based on this information, we can predict reliability and security indicators in future. It's some illustration of our experimental results. Okay, conclusion. As conclusion, we can talk about the following. We can search, transmit, store, process, and use big data and Internet of Things, of course, to improve maintenance and avoid risk of failures, to predict such failures, to minimize risk of emergency, to support decision making and decrease resources cost for recovery. But we can search, transmit, store, process, and use huge capacity of useless, unsafe, insecure, and energy intensive data in any case. Hence, we have two sides of this picture to application of big data analytics for critical domains. Hence, to make decision about application of this technology, we need very deeply analyze situation. In general, big data technologies are not green, safe, and secure. We understand why. In this case, we have so-called snowball effect. And there are pro and contra application on non-application big data for different domains. And big data and IoT have to become safety and security assurance, such as nuclear, aerospace, pilot aviation, health, and so on. It's needed to join safety and security attributes into big safety and security. And Black Swan, as a new modern technology, should be analyzed by specialists in area safety and security to assure Black Swan tolerance for humanity. And of course, COVID pandemic made big safety event bigger. Thank you very much for your attention, and any questions, please, and comments.
Thank you, Vyacheslav Sergeyevich. Dear colleagues, please, questions. Sergey Mykolaievich, are you question? Have you a question?
Yes, please. Thank you, Vyacheslav Sergeyevich, for your report. It was very interesting. What do you think? If the information technologies ready to new challenges due to all the human activity nowadays due to COVID pandemic now are going to online. So in this case, we have a lot of challenges in case of information security. Is the industry of safety and security ready to overcome these new threats and challenges?
Your question is very complex and very wide. Firstly, we understand that online activities, improving of intensivity of such activities is challenges in point of view security. Yes, because more communication online, more possibility for attack and more threats. Yes, there are a few papers which were published during the last 2 months, which analyze new type of threats, new type of attacks. But it is a non-industrial issue. Yes, if you talk about industrial issue, in this case, we have more complex situation, more complex or more uncertain situation, because if you talk about, for example, crew of in aviation, yes, in this case, main task is to assure health of crew. Yes, the same in nuclear power plants and the one side. But there is a chain influence of COVID. Not only people who are directly work at the plant or aviation, and it's a influence into our doctors as well. Hence, for nuclear, the special activities were made and special orders concerning not only personnel of a station and concerning doctors as well. Hence, if you talk about industry application, we need analyze chains. I shown slide with big safety, where we have a direct influence of infection safety to nuclear safety, and influence via information functional side of safety and security. I don't sure that my question is complete and deep, because it is one of the challenge which we need to research. Okay.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions? No more questions? Oh, then, great. Thanks, Vyacheslav Sergeyevich.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Our speaker from London is missing. Maybe he mixed up time, London time with Kiev time, and I propose to invite next speaker, Olena Golimbovska or Alexander Drost, who are ready.
We need. I can ask Yelena, but I don't know that she is ready, because
yes, I am ready.
Ready? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have a last. Sorry, we have the next presentation. Abstract painting as an interactive art, augmented reality, and Internet of Galleries. Speaker is Olena Golimbovska, magazine Carte Blanche, Ukrainian Scientific Educational IT Society, Ukraine. Welcome, Olena Alexandrovna.
Thank you very much, but I need to include my presentation. Вот моя презентация. И как ее расшарить? Ага. On this one. Yes. And
we see your presentation, and we asked all to install the Archive application on your mobile gadgets, and this application is needed now. Welcome, Olena.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all. Что? Видео демо. Sorry.
Вот это. Выключено.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad to see and hear from you. Thank you very much for organizers for invitation. And I'm going to my presentation about augmented reality for art. I maybe tell a couple words about me that understand why this presentation about art and about technology. I graduated from Kyiv Polytechnical University and worked in IT companies in Kyiv, and later I was founder and editor-in-chief for the International Carte Blanche magazine about technologies and financial payment industry, technologies, information security, and others. And last 3 years I live in Kharkiv, and the city inspired me to become artist. And 2 years I am artist. I paint. I work with abstract art and use technology abstract fluid acrylic. Да? Хорошо. Что точно? Yes. Так, почему-то мне не листается. Sorry, do you see my presentation?
We see on the first slide now.
Yes, but I, oh, it's okay.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. We tell about what is AR, what is the difference between AR and VR, using AR in different areas, AR in art, Internet of galleries, interactivity, paintings and technologies, the result of R&D team AR research, AR events for children, and you can see my paintings with AR. What is augmented reality? I took from Wikipedia. AR is an interactive experience of real-world environment where the object that resides in the real world are enhanced by computer generated. And you can read next. What about AR? Exactly. Object include in our real life. This is AR. And what is different between AR and VR, virtual reality? AR, as I told, adds a digital element to a life, but VR is a new world, absolutely new world, and you include deep in this world. Using AR now, AR use in a lot of areas: medical training, retail, repair services, logistics, tourism, education, and surgery. And today we tell about AR in art. I'd like to show you this video about the first my exhibition with AR, not my exhibition, but what I saw, and it very inspired me to make AR for my paintings. It's very interesting, but now we VR, virtual reality. If tell about this exhibition, we saw that all viewers see same objects of AR to the painting, and we, as our team, we decide to go further, and our task to explore the possibility of creating such AR that it reflects the image that the viewer sees at the painting using next technologies. And what is different in these cases? I'd like that you understand, and now I explain maybe in Russian, okay? В чем разница между тем, что я показала, видео, в котором, ну, вы увидели, что все люди, держа смартфоны или планшеты, смотрят на рисунки, на картины и видят все видят одинаковую дополненную реальность. Мы решили пойти дальше и поставить задачу таким образом, чтобы люди, которые смотрят на картину, видели свой образ, потому что каждая картина абстрактная, она вызывает какие-то свои ощущения у людей, совершенно разные. И каждый человек, который смотрит на эту картину, ожидает как бы вот образ свой. И именно поэтому интересно было бы, чтобы для каждого человека картина генерировала свой AR, понимаете, да, свою дополненную реальность. То есть это, ну, скажем, действительно множество образов, которые могут разные люди увидеть, глядя на одну картину. Это очень сложная задача. Здесь нужно использовать самые разные технологии. Вот. Ну и мы подошли к этой проблеме и потихонечку ее исследуем. The result of AR research of R&D team, HAI, you can see our articles about it, about the topic AR, and down you can see link with this if you have interest for our topic for AR. And this is a sample scenario about, on the slide I show the example of one of the research schemes presented by Vyacheslav Harchenko at the conference in France, when our paper was the best from other papers of this conference. The first I tell about this first article. Next one. A lot of organizations invited us to take part in different events for people, for children, and we take part in these conferences, not conference, seminars, and this is very interesting for children. This there are my paintings with AR and the children, so this is student. This is a small girl, about 10 years old. And if you all ready to see my paintings with AR, I'd like know, do you all have RTY application? I don't know what's the way about to know about it. If someone does not have this application on a smartphone, please download now. And you can see AR from your phone. It's really it's exactly neat because you yourself ну, почувствуете, увидите это. Окей, я прошу прощения, как мне узнать, все ли загрузили Archive Application?
Надо дать пару минут, просто пару минут объяснить, через время подключиться.
We can write in the chat plus, for example.
Who have plus?
In the group chat мы пишем плюсики.
Да. Напишите плюсики, у кого уже готово это приложение, пожалуйста. Не вижу плюсиков совсем, я вижу просто фотографии. Может, я не то вижу.
Есть, идут плюсики, идут, есть.
Да,
В
я вижу
чате
только
посмотрите, там есть чат.
чат. Где же этот чат?
Такой смс после участников рядышком.
Вот вижу чат. Ну, чат-то я вижу, но... Окей. О, супер. Ну, многие, но не все, да. Давайте еще пару минут. Можно загрузить это 30 секунд времени. Пожалуйста, просто вы почувствуете разницу, говорить, слышать и самому это прочувствовать. Окей? Мы можем дать, да, пару минут?
Да, конечно, да, ждем. Просто действительно намного будет интереснее видеть эту дополненную реальность, а не просто слышать Елену.
Да.
Смотреть просто на картину, и через экран гаджета вы будете видеть совсем другое, дополненную вот эту реальность. Поэтому...
Вы просто не увидите, да, по-другому вы это, ну, не увидите, но это стоит. Так, я опять чат потеряла. Чат. Окей, да, можем продолжать?
Да, наверное, да. Я думаю, кто хотел, тот загрузил, а кто, может, еще в процессе, то сейчас успеет.
Ну, оно грузится недолго, в зависимости от интернета. Устанавливается на телефон 50 мегабайт, потом можете его снести, если не нужно будет. Но вот сейчас, чтобы поработать, собственно, это цель нашей презентации. Окей. My paintings with AR. Ну, поехали. Просто я сейчас включаю My paintings. И вам нужно сделать следующее. Вам нужно взять, включить приложение и телефон на эту картинку. И, может быть, приглушить звук, ну, хотя нам не слышно, но просто звук может быть довольно громкий, особенно в этой картине. И вы увидите и почувствуете, что такое AR. И мне было бы, конечно, очень интересно все-таки услышать ваши, ну, кому это удалось сделать тоже. Поставьте, не знаю, там, единичку.
Шановні колеги, просто можна в себе звук вимкнути, але на смартфоні, щоб він був включений. Так, тоді ви можете звукову гаму теж бачити, а вона не буде заважати іншим. А потім просто включити звук, вимкнути звук.
Уже несколько человек видят отлично. Что это все? Нужно просто навести на картину, чтобы она попала, ну, как бы в размер экрана, монитора. И немножко подождать. Там появится такая загрузочная полосочка. Если она появилась, вот как, знаете, как раньше полосочки загружались, да, то надо просто подождать, пока оно подгрузится. И все.
Так, і На смартфоне все-таки включите звук максимально, тогда вы услышите звуковую гамму.
Ну да, там очень важно, особенно в этой картине, действительно важно послушать. Ну, то есть процесс пошел, я вижу, что люди потихонечку видят. Мне бы, конечно, очень хотелось бы, чтобы все увидели. Ну, тут уж как получится. Пойдем, наверное, дальше, да, потому что
Да.
все-таки, да. Так, я не знаю, тут мешает эта штука убрать. Так, хотя бы. И... О, отлично. У кого-то получилось. О. Мне как-то очень тяжело без обратной связи. Может быть, Танечка или Сергей как-то будут мне подсказывать.
Да, конечно. Вижу, что пишут специальные знаки, плюсы, значит, все получается.
Окей, тогда идем дальше, да? Потому что тут их, в общем-то, немало. Так. Next. Здесь может сложно загружаться. Это такая картина, мы ее пропустим, чтобы было проще.
Нет, она нормально.
Да? Ну, хорошо.
Нужно, да.
Хорошо. Она сделана на золотой, ее немного жжение, поэтому она не всегда работает. Дальше идем.
Да, я думаю, посмотрели, вижу, что пишут осень,
Да.
все работает, все сработало.
Да, отлично, осень.
Да.
Реально. Спасибо за супер. Next. Здесь такая... чтобы проснулись. Это все картины, написанные в стиле вот флюида акрилик. Дальше. Флюид акрилика с помощью красок, которые специально подготовлены и заливаются на полотно или полотно на холст, ну или дерево, кто на чем работает. Вот, и в результате получаются вот такие вот разные эффекты, очень интересные. Чтобы это все получить, конечно, нужно иметь определенный опыт и определенные материалы, потому что наши краски, к сожалению, отечественные, они плохо работают в этой технике. И приходится, конечно, покупать импортные краски и другие медиумы, как они называются, с которыми приходится работать. Но почти 1,5 года я потратила на то, чтобы найти вот эти составляющие. Ну и пока я листаю дальше, вот эта картина была посвящена, я скажу, Украине, и поэтому сюда, да, подобралось такое вот видео, и я его использовала здесь. Ну, только 2 человека его увидели, но я подожду чуть-чуть, я хочу, чтобы еще увидели люди. Угу. И я хотела бы рассказать, вот, ну, пока мы смотрим, можно еще и послушать параллельно, рассказать об одной истории. С февраля по апрель я обучалась у американской художницы Нэнси Рейнер. Она известная такая американская очень хорошая художница, и она учитель, преподаватель. Вот. И так случилось, что она мне дала, ну, да, у нас было индивидуальное задание, занятие, она дала мне такое задание, чтобы я увидела качество красок, насколько они отличаются по своему качеству, независимо от производителя. Она использовала, ну, что называется, самые лучшие краски, которые в мире существуют. Это компания Golden, американская, которая производит эти краски. Они действительно очень качественные и безумно дорогие. Так, вот эту картинку, может быть, прокомментирует Вячеслав Сергеевич.
Dear colleagues, шановні колеги, давайте, ну, якщо вже ми тут від англомовного трошки відійшли формату, оскільки все ж таки мистецтво тут складно з мовою, то ну, я показував цю картину своїм студентам, і вони зразу, ну, кілька з них зразу знайшли відповідь, що це таке. От, перед тим, як ви побачите цю додану реальність, ну, якийсь варіант згенеруйте, а потім можна буде порівняти з тим, що сказали наші студенти. Так, ну, якщо у вас є, ну, якісь варіанти, то можна просто про них сказати.
Ну, написати в чаті, так?
В чаті написати.
Ну, напишіть, будь ласка, що ви бачите саме на цій картинці, бо це цікаво.
Так, от тепло.
О!
Ну так тут просто всі...
Ти в курсі.
Зрозуміло, просто ми ж всі із студентів, тому тут... Так.
Before examination.
Так, тепер можна запустити вже, якщо...
Да. Так, поїхали далі, так? Так.
Да.
Так, а я повернусь до розмови про моє завдання. І завдання, ну, я сказала, що мені треба було знайти такі фарби і подивитись різницю. І була назва всіх цих фарб. Але я 2 суток шукала, 2 дня я шукала такі фарби, і я не змогла їх знайти. Я не змогла. Ну, я написала, що я не можу виконати ваше завдання, тому що у мене немає можливості, я не знайшла фарби такі, немає у нас. Ні в країні, ніде я не можу їх отримати. І тоді ця людина, вона взяла і сказала мені, я відіслала тобі ці фарби поштою, поштовим відправленням, щоб ти отримала їх і подивилась на ці фарби. Ну, я можу сказати, що фарби дійсно до мене нарешті дійшли, йшли вони дуже довго, але я отримала фарби, які, ну, найдорожчі у світі, і я поки що боюсь до них прикасатись, але вони є, і така дивна історія сталася, тому що, ну, я можу сказати, 30 мл такої фарби коштує біля 10 фунтів стерлінгів. Ну, це дуже для нас така ціна. То, ну, моя вчителька просто вразила мене. Ну і далі, тут така лірична картина. Космос. Да, ну може і зима. Дякую, дякую, хто каже мені, ну, такі слова, дуже приємно. Йдемо далі, так? Так. Ну що, ми дійшли до останньої картини цієї серії. І я повернусь до англійської. І I'd like to stop a little more on this painting. As a rule, ну, це дуже складна така картина, але я хочу, щоб ви подивились її, тому що тут відеоряд такий, який вам, ну, мені здається, дуже цікаво побачити. As a rule, when we look at abstract painting, we ask, what did the artist want to say with his work? We know the answer almost never exactly. Now, rather opportunity to hear from the artist, from me, what I wanted to say with this painting. I will be blessed to share with you my ideas regarding this painting. Name of this painting, IntelITSIS Secret Ceremony. The limiter of the mind is a rusty old frame. The mind is a transparent figure. We need to be balanced to be free. This is indicated by circles on the left and right side of this painting. All processes are managed by time. The pendulum of time is stopped now because now humanity is on a forced pause. Great creations of the human mind without a soul, the atomic bomb, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, wars and all stripes, real and the hybrid density of people, climate change, and the destruction of the planet and animal world of the planet, and others. Unnatural diseases like COVID-19, etc. Now, when humanity is on pause, its task is to connect the mind with the soul, our soul, which knows exactly how to keep the planet healthy and beautiful for our descendants. To get my idea deeper, I use augmented reality, as you maybe see, and this is about, and Nancy Rainer, about I told now, my teacher, saw my picture and she said, I am witnessing a secret ceremony of the universe. I used her words in the name of this is painting because it very accurately reflects the essence. Universe secret ceremony. When I tell this word, I mean universe secret ceremony to restore human integrity, because only a holistic person can live in harmony with this world and not destroy it. I thank you for all who see AR, but I'd like to show you once more very quickly presentation, because there are several ways to create AR for painting and photographs. And I'll show you one more such opportunity just by using smartphone apps. I used application Pixeloop and New Words. I now ой, как мне отсюда выйти? And now I show you once more my presentation. Ой, я что не то сделала, наверное. Я все правильно сделала?
Спасибо.
Зараз ми бачимо ваш екран, так.
Есть, да? Окей. Так, это не то. Это я что-то не то сделала. Так, сори. Это. I only show you what's the way to give another way for AR in painting and without sound. Quickly, this is man, you know, maybe all. These two, they are photographs. One from my paintings. And two, sea series, ocean. Each from you can prepare your souvenirs or photo album for your children or your husband or your something friends. Photo with AR. It's very interesting. It's really very interesting. And I can help you. Spring house. And the last over painting. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions or some, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you very much, dear Olena. It's very amazing presentation, very cool. And do you have questions, please?
Yelena, thank you a lot for your amazing presentation, amazing art. At the start of your presentation, you said that the main inspiration was Kharkiv. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't understand, sorry.
Ви сказали, що
Може, українською розумію.
ви надихалися Харковом, коли починали. Це правильно я зрозумів вас?
Так.
Які місця вас надихнули в Харкові до таких митецьких робіт?
Знаєте, саме повітря і знаходження тут, мабуть. А місць тут дуже багато таких, дуже приємних, дуже класних. Це і Саржен Яр, і центр міста, і ну, дуже багато. Вчора, чи коли позавчора ми тут знайшли, можна сказати, в місті, але таку абсолютно природу ну, людьми абсолютно не дотронути таку класну природу. Мені дуже подобається це місто, а тільки сам парк, ой, забулася, парк, ну, центральний парк Горького, так, да. Дуже, ну, це просто шедевр, не знаю, це дуже класно, дуже класне місто, так, мені дуже подобається. Так що приїздіть, будь ласка, до Харкова, вам теж сподобається, коли все закінчиться погано і почнеться нова полоса. Я думаю, що вона почнеться дуже скоро.
Дякую. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, colleagues, thank you, Elena. And now we have a time for coffee break. I propose to break and we return on workshop at 4 p.m. according to program. Now 15 minutes break.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good coffee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Таня, кто сейчас будет? Чей
Сейчас
доклад
будет
сейчас?
Питер будет, он уже появился, он, видимо, время
Он на 2
пересчитал.
часа просчитался.
Да.
Я так и подумал, что если не 2, то в 4.
Да, я тоже так поняла. Я смотрю. Ой,
Стыдно
есть.
признаться, но так оно и есть.
Да,
Я не знаю, почему это так получилось. У меня, я
Не
посмотрел
страшно.
сейчас календарь, оно стоит 12 часов по британскому времени. И почему я не объявился вовремя, трудно объяснить. Прошу прощения.
Это не страшно.
Ничего страшного, все бывает, и все заняты, много работы, поэтому ничего страшного. Сейчас вы скажете все
Петр,
приветственные слова и дальше
Единственный
будет
привет.
презентация.
Окей. Рад вас видеть.
И мы вас рады видеть.
Привет, Петр.
Привет, привет. Я позорился, но что сделаешь? Так, привет.
Это невозможно, Петр. Ну как же так? Все нормально.
Все нормально, да. Yeah,
Да.
colleagues, let's start. And now we have a presentation, Co-Engineering for Safety and Security, the Aquas Project Perspective by Dr. Peter Popov, Center for Software Reliability, City University of London, United Kingdom. Peter, welcome. You say a few greetings words and text to demonstrate your presentation. Welcome.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here, and once again, sincere apologies that I got confused about the timing. Entirely my fault. Tanya made absolutely every effort to to deliver accurate information, but for some reason I made a mistake. It is very pleasant to be at the start of a new beginning. This new workshop, I remember a few years ago when dessert was at a similar stage, and 10 years later, now we see dessert very well established, internationally recognized scientific event. So all that I can say is that I wish the organizers from Khmelnytsky and International Organizing Committee to follow the steps of dessert and to convert this workshop into a really important event for the community. So all the best. And now I should switch to my presentation. Can I take the I'll share screen. Now this is the presentation. Okay, so this is a report on something that is practically coming to an end. We're going to have the final review at the end of this month. So I'll try to summarize the important results from this project, which was on so-called co-engineering of safety and security, and co-engineering because you take into account these two concerns, and it is not just safety plus security, which people kind of know how to do it, but when things need to be considered simultaneously, there are issues and complications. It is a large project. You can see a few numbers here with mainly industrial partners. Out of 23 partners, only 5 are from the university. It is us from the UK, the only UK partner. One from France, from Spain. There is a research organization from Austria, and a university from the Czech Republic, the Brno Technical University. The rest is partners. So this is an innovation project, the idea being to look at the industrial practices and see whether there is a scope for changes. So what we promised to do at the beginning is a quote is taken from the proposal. So we promised to try to work with safety, security, and performance. And the essential part of the promise is that this is not just having fun, demonstrating on a little example how things can be done, but you see through the entire product life cycle how these methods, which we eventually started calling combined analysis of the safety and security and their interdependence can be implemented in a context near the industrial context that different companies use. And as you can see on this slide, we had a pretty vague idea how to do it at the start of the project. It was just saying there will be points in time of this product life cycle where we'll take and have a holistic view on the non-functional properties. Safety, security, and performance was also added. We're not trying to break the established life cycles, because for companies this is really very expensive. We try this idea to say you need to change the entire product life cycle in another product preceding Aquas. And even some of the colleagues ended up talking to one of the standardization committee in automotive industry and said you need to change the processes, and the answer was go away. This is just not possible. It will be so expensive for the industry that we're not just going to even do it. So we had to came up with something else. So the Aquos approach is really a very light overhead attempt to say we generally keep the life cycles and the silos, the different disciplines, safety and security. They continue to do their job, what they're good at, but nevertheless, there need to be points in time in this product life cycle where we take this holistic view. So you see very vague picture without any details about how to do it. And the whole point of the project was to convert this picture into something more concrete and to try it in practice. City, we were responsible to develop the methodology in detail. And this is what we have done. We just submitted a couple of days ago the final deliverable, which is spelled out in significant detail, I would say. What is the outcome now? This simplistic picture that you saw on the previous slide is now, you can see that it's quite elaborate. Here we have a set of similar phases, requirements, design, implementation, operation, and of course different organization will have slightly different versions, different in the details, but this represents a generic development life cycle. We looked also at the agile in this context and so on, but this is a reasonable take. So there are some those who worked on system engineering, they will recognize some of the actions, artifacts shown on this picture. They relate to some very specific activities. And what is highlighted here in red represent the major innovation that we put forward, the so-called interaction points, where this holistic view on the system will be taken into account. This holistic view means that now we're looking at the system properties. If it is a safety critical system, then we'll see the safety of the system, but safety can be compromised as a result of successful attacks, or the overheads due to introducing additional security controls will have to be taken into account and so on. But we are looking at the system from these different perspectives in the interaction points. So what is shown here in this red square is, you can see it better on this fragment, but it is further spelled out on this new activity diagram. Here, if you can read the what is written. Sorry. Oh, I have a helper here. Somebody is helping me with the presentation. So if you can look at what is written, it's the system engineering. So this is people doing the functionality. Every even safety critical system, they are supposed to do something, whether you control trains, whether you fly a plane and so on. So the functionality is captured in this silo, in this lane. The second lane represents the safety engineering. People work with the safety requirements, implement safety mechanism and so on. We have security engineers who are looking at what security controls are required and how to integrate them in the system architecture. We may have performance engineers, and in some cases, like in space applications, there are very, very specific needs to deal with the performance, especially if you want to process large amounts of data in a very short period of time. And then finally, we have here this so-called co-engineering lane, which is where the interaction points really reside. We have several methods. They may be as many as are necessary in the specific context. They take as inputs, these are the pins. This is UML activity diagram. The syntax is UML activity diagram. So these are inputs. They take as artifacts, system requirements, safety requirements, security requirements, some performance requirements, and so on. They may be provided as input to these different methods, and the method, as a result of being completed, will produce an output, and this output broadly will say no problem, or there are problems which need to be scrutinized further and fixed. If we have several methods, the expectation is that at the end of the IP all this will be completed, and then we may have here looking at whether any problems have been discovered. If not, then we complete the this interaction point successfully, and we move on. If there are problems, there is a loop in which I showed on the previous diagram. Things need to be looked at again. Combined analysis. So why is it what we call the combined analysis is really taking into account these different mechanisms and then different non-functional properties, and if one is violated, it may be tolerable, but maybe violating it in a particular way will lead to something which is non-tolerable. And what is essential for the combined analysis is to have an explicit model of how non-functional properties are dependent on one another. We may put a safety mechanism and say our system is safe because these mechanisms are designed, there is enough redundancy and so on. But what if this safety mechanism have been compromised as a result of a very sophisticated and clever attack? Things like this have been seen in practice, where attacks lead to eliminating the safety mechanisms, and the system, when it needs to be stopped, put in a safe state, there is nothing to do it. So this is an extreme example of interdependence. In some cases, the dependencies may take the form of stochastic dependence. A successful attack reduces the effectiveness, not completely eliminates it, but just reduces the effectiveness of safety mechanism and so on. The point here is things vary depending on the application context, but we have to be clear. If we want to do a credible combined analysis, we need to be clear what these dependencies are and to express them explicitly. We may be wrong, but at least spelling them out explicitly makes it possible for people to look at the assumptions, scrutinize these assumptions, and if some of these assumptions are not really credible, then this problem can be fixed. In summary, the combined analysis is not just the safety engineers do safety analysis, assuming that the environment is trusted environment, and then security engineers do what they do, defend against denial of service, defend against some other problems in the networks and so on. No, we need to see what is the mutual dependence of these different concerns, how compromise in one place may affect another place, which under normal circumstances will work correctly. This is not exactly a new idea. Those like me who are older and have seen or remember the so-called performability movement 20 years ago, started by John Mayer, probably will realize that this is pretty much the same idea. The difference between co-engineering for safety and security and performability is not that they are conceptually different. The difference is that the skill sets which are required in order to be successful with co-engineering of safety and security are not really available. Safety engineer, they follow the particular culture. Security engineers, they have a different culture, and very often they don't even understand well one another. With performability, we didn't have silos like this. Performability, in both cases, these are different flavors of stochastic processes. If you know stochastic processes operating successfully with performability is given. You don't really need anything else. If you are a safety engineer moving to deal with the security, it's a very, very big step, and vice versa. A few examples on what this project. This was, as I said, this is an innovative project. I don't think that in terms of theoretical developments, we even try to do much. We really try to see how the industrial practices can be improved to do this co-engineering well. So the project was based on five different case studies, and they're briefly illustrated here. We had one rail carriage mechanism. So this is a system which has been deployed and it is in use. in use in Europe, in South America, in quite a few places. So it's a real safety critical system without any attempt to deal with cybersecurity. So we did quite a few interesting things there. Air traffic management, these are drones circulating some important areas for surveillance. This is what the second case study is. The third, medical devices. This is quite an interesting system where there is a patient which is injected with some medications in order to keep them calm. Imagine that they are being operated and the body needs to be in constant calm. The fourth one is the industrial drive. This is a range of different power electronics controlling electric motors of different power, small, medium, very large. This was done. This was led by Siemens Austria. And finally, we had an interesting application from Thales Alenia in Spain. These are satellites. They send satellites to monitor Earth and to collect a lot of information and to send it back, processing these images in very quickly. So the point here is high performance, but the power is limited, and it's very expensive to lose one of these satellites. So it has to be, from this point of view, not exactly safe, but very reliable. So these are the 5 applications which we worked on and tried various ideas with coengineering. Very briefly, because I don't have much time, very briefly on several methods which emerged from this product. This one is so-called, the colleagues called it interference points. And the interference is something really trivial here. When you are given a set of requirements, some are for safety, some are security requirements, these are usually assigned to different blocks or components in the system architecture. So essentially what this method does, once this assignment to blocks is done, it's supported by a tool. The tool goes and checks whether there are requirements from different silos, say from security and safety, which are assigned to the same component. The rationale here being that if we assign 2 different requirements to the same component, problems in this particular component may somehow introduce unusual, unexpected interdependencies and affect the ability of the system to meet this requirement. So they just go look for the ticks, and if they find like here, so there is a functional requirement and there is a safety requirement, yes, and then what else? So why is it an interference point? Because well, it's not very clear, but functional requirement here, I got. So if there is some crossing of different, then they will be ticked as interference points. So the whole analysis is that it produces a gigantic table which lists all these components, potentially all of them, all components of the architecture where there are crossover points. And there we had doubts whether this is a scalable solution, because if you have many requirements just copying from the standards, inevitably you will end up with a massive table. And then what do you do with it? Most of these ticks will turn out not to be real problems, but will require quite a bit of effort to resolve. So this one is, again, a model-based solution developed by colleagues from French university, MTTP. So they start with expressing the architecture as a SysML block diagram. If you, this is effectively blocks are loosely defined in SysML. It may be hardware components, it may be software components, but so each of these boxes here represent a block. The blocks have some links. So essentially what these people try, they then take the safety requirements and use this diagram of how different components communicate with one another in order to make sure whether all security requirements are satisfied. One example of a security requirement is not to have covered channels of communicating between different blocks via shared memory. So just drawing the links of communication between the blocks allow one to go and do exhaustive check whether such channels exist. And they do it, they use formal verification with a tool called Verif. And if there is the second type of analysis that they do is to imagine that some covered channel is detected. Then the whole point of this tool is, and the method is to add additional security control, which will break this channel. But then the question is, what is the overhead, performance overhead that this particular block will introduce? So they will use a simulation with a high fidelity model of the particular algorithm implemented in the security control in order to establish before the system is built via simulation what is the additional overhead. So this is briefly summarized here. So this is how they the tool is interacting with the ProVerif, so formal verification. And here it is just an illustration of a very detailed timing diagram, which in the end allows them to say the overhead is that many microseconds, and to conclude that it's probably okay. And finally, as an illustration, this is the method which applies to the VNV phase when one needs to test the system, which is with this safety and security concerns in place. So what the colleagues from Australian Institute of Technology did, they started with, again, model-based test generation. Each of the components in the architecture is modeled as a state machine, and you can choose the level of detail in order to represent that this model can be as accurate as necessary. And then using the state machines, they will generate a gigantic set of test cases. And the trick and the beauty of what they have done is the use of machine learning to dig into this gigantic set of test cases and identify the ones which are interesting. And the interesting may be the stressful, which simulate successful attacks or a combination of successful attacks and accidental failures in order to maximize the benefits from the testing. And they also provided not only a method, but they have a tool. It's a prototype still, but quite a usable prototype, and it was tried on a couple of demonstrators that I showed earlier. So in terms of my own work, again, this is what I do. I develop probabilistic models, and no surprises with Aquos. I engaged in building similar models for some of the demonstrators. And focus of the work was to capture exactly this interdependency between the non-functional properties. And then the second focus of the work was to look at the effectiveness of so-called proactive recovery. Proactive recovery is not something that I invented. It was invented 10 years ago by various people and demonstrated it's very good. The question is that the proactive recovery relies on a set of the new version, a new container, or it's an implementation detail. But this is the idea, and you need to the faster you do it, the shorter the window of opportunity for the adversary to compromise multiple channels, and therefore intrusion tolerance based on replication has been demonstrated to be very good. So this was my interest here, and I'll show you briefly what I managed to do. Trade-off analysis, I already mentioned this. We need to be very clear. What is the model of interdependencies? And this model can be informal. When experts get together, they tell each other what they know about the system. But my preferences were to have this interdependency captured by a mathematical model, like a probabilistic state machine. And then you can vary with the parameters, but this is much clearer. Well, experts, when you rely on communication between experts today, they may discover something tomorrow, they may overlook it, or depending on who talks to whom, the outcome may vary significantly with the models. You build the model once, the parameters may vary, but the outcome is kind of guaranteed. And here are a couple of examples just to illustrate what I mean. If we are in a trusted environment and we have a safety critical system, we know that there may be a safe failure when the safety mechanisms are adequate and they capture the anomaly and stop the system or put it in a whatever the safe state is. But every now and then they will be turned out to be insufficient. So they may be in unsafe failures. So what is the impact of adding attacks to this? So there are two different models here. In one, we say every successful attack leads instantaneously to unsafe failure. This is an extreme version. But in some cases, we know that the software in the system may be compromised, and it may take quite a long time before this compromise really lead to catastrophic failure. And if this, during this process, if one has in place, for instance, proactive recovery, you can cleanse completely the consequences of this successful attack. So the point is that these two models are different, and depending on which one we adopt in our combined analysis, obviously the conclusions are going to be very, very different. So again, this very idea, I tried it a few years ago, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I reported this particular work, which was eventually published in one of my previous visits of Hawaii. Essentially, the idea is exactly like this. You take a device. This device is in autonomous in a car, and it has a particular function implementing safety via replication. And then there are possible attacks which may eliminate completely the safety mechanism. So it is captured. I have a OK, and the normal situation is to go either to a safe state or to go to unsafe state. If it is compromised, I go to the compromised state from which I can enter additional unsafe state, or I may recover the system. So this very idea, which I illustrated previously, was tried, and okay, I have some observations. So in another, I formalized this concept. This was during the project in a paper presented at Israel a couple of years ago, where we say not every different compromises, the way software is compromised may lead to different behaviors of the software, of the compromised software. So it is captured by a model which is explained here. And of course, every compromise may eventually be fixed, either by patching the software or by applying this idea of proactive recovery, cleansing the software, installing a clean copy. How are these ideas, which are illustrated on the previous slides? So we try them on a couple of the demonstrators. So the first one is this industrial drive. So this is the architecture, colorful picture. We have a client application where somebody defines how this electric motor should operate, accelerate, keep the speed stable, and eventually stop or reduce the speed and use some trajectories which are defined by the client application. Then this is the power electronics, and of course the communication between the client and this power electronics requires some protocol. This protocol is implemented by so-called server control application. It's quite a sophisticated piece of software which is implemented by, and then it directly communicates with the power electronics. And finally, we have the electric motor itself. And what is interesting here is that these people, they're paranoid, obviously, about security. They implemented the feedback from the motor to be triplicated, encrypted with 3 different encryption keys. And now the question was, is this good enough? What are the chances that this triplicated feedback can be compromised in a way which will confuse the power electronics? So we had to devise a combination of somebody stealing the encryption key, starting to send the wrong feedback, combined with some accidental failures or a second channel of the 3. If it is not working, then eventually this adjudicator here, which is meant to compare whether the 3 copies of the feedback provide identical or comparable results, whether they're credible. And there is quite a range of possibility for this adjudicator to get confused. So this is exactly what we looked via probabilistic model. So very briefly, because I don't have the time to explain what was done, but this is a client application. Oh, sorry. Client application, here one model. Attack on the client, it's a separate model. The server implementation model, so this is the server application taking commands from the client application. Safety function, the safety function is duplicated in this case. And then I have an adjudicator and so on. And this is, I'm showing only the structure of the model. Each of these black things is represented by a stochastic Petrinet, stochastic activity network. So I have an excuse. If somebody is very interested in what I say, which is very unlikely, I understand, you have access to the full model, which is shown here. I already shared with Tanya this presentation, so the people who are interested will have access to it. And I'll be delighted to hear from you. But the point of the study was with this model to look at the probability of unsafe failure. So this whole system may operate for a reasonably long time, but it may fail in a safe manner, unsafe manner, or we can have even false alarms. So I'm looking at these probabilities. There are 4 different probabilities: surviving a mission, failing safely, failing unsafely, or having this false alarm at different points in time. So this is after 100 hours, 500 hours, 900 hours. And you can see the numbers vary depending on what happens. Clients, no attacks at all. This is the nice safety critical system. Then we add the attacks to the client only, to the mixed to the safety function. And then because the safety function is duplicated, it makes a difference. Whether the attacker is ignorant, they don't know that they have to deal with the 2 channels, so they have done their homework, and they know that unless they compromise both channels of the safety function, the consequences will be negligible, and so on. So this is what this model does, and the report is very detailed, explains the model and the findings. The second case study was these drones, very fancy. I liked it very much because it looked fun to work with. Okay, so this is the drone flying, sending data, GPS data of the drone is sent to the so-called ground stations, but the communication with the ground stations are implemented via DDS. DDS is a specification by the object management group, data distributed service. Apparently quite well-known specification and used for real-time traffic by many industrial domains. So the attacks which can occur here are the drone itself, some denial of service, this 4G is used for communication, but also directly on the DDS. We experimentally established that we can easily fake the traffic on the platform, and because it is a common shared medium, there will be immediately consequences for the normal messages sent by these drones. The model is very complex. Again, I'm showing only the structure. We have UAVs, these are the drones, as many as necessary, thousands, millions, no problem. In the model, we can do it. Several different topics. They send the information either from the drone or the drone is commanded from the ground. Some initialization, and then here are the models of the different attacks on the DDS or attacks directly on the drones. And the key parameter here that the study looked at is what are the chances of violating this hard real-time requirement set for the case study, which is 2 seconds. The round trip from the drone to the ground station and getting a response is expected to take no longer than 2 seconds. It may seem a lot of time, but in the end, under different circumstances, it turned out that it is not so difficult to violate this 2 seconds. So again, the results, which are running, solving the model as a Monte Carlo simulation, with a Monte Carlo simulation, again, no attacks, again, 100 hours, 500 hours, 900 hours, looking at the probability of unsafe, meaning that the 2 seconds are violated. If it takes longer than 2 seconds, this is qualified as an unsafe failure. And again, depending on the different attack scenarios, the numbers for this particular probability will vary and vary quite significantly. And all this is combined with applying this proactive recovery idea. By the way, it was also tried with the previous case study. And again, if somebody has nothing better to do, but becomes a member of this stochastic activity networks movement, you have another report which is quite detailed, spells out exactly what was done, how it was done, and so on. And finally, this is the final slide of my presentation. Creating these sun models is really a pain. It takes a lot of time to build it, and then even more to debug this model and to get assurance that the model does what you think. Because in some cases you get surprising results, and unless you have confidence that the model does exactly what you want it to do, you never know whether these observations are due to some subtle errors in the model, or they capture really important and genuine phenomenon. For this reason, we invested a bit of time in this project on automating the process of creating sun models. So I mentioned already several times the fact that the system architecture is, at least in this project, was captured by a SysML model, block diagram. So we have a fragment here. Now the question is, can we use this, possibly provide it with additional details, and get the sun model, if not completely executable, but at least significant part of it generated automatically by a tool. And we succeeded to some extent. So what are the additional? In addition to the blocks, we needed to create for each of the blocks, which is subject to attacks, to create a state machine, which says this is normal operation. It may be an error and erroneous, depending on the failure modes. We can define as many as we need. But also, you can see here, this is a compromised one, compromised two, which are the states that the software finds itself as a result of a successful attack, attack one, attack two. So this is necessary for every single block which is subjected to attacks. Then the attack themselves, they are modeled as sequence diagrams. This is common for SysML and also for UML. So essentially, these are the lifelines, the messages which are send between this. This is the attacks, hopping between different blocks in order to try to compromise and reach the assets of interest. So they're captured by sequence diagram. Once we have the state machines and the sequence diagram and the block diagram, then indeed we can generate the Sun model. So this is the state machines. It's a bit untidy, but it's syntactically correct. You can see it can be compiled. And also we have a set of this similar to what you saw before, the so-called composite models. And we had a couple of, we apply this to both case study. So the work is not finished yet. We are going to continue with one of the partners in this project. So I think this is all that I have. I'm not surprised that I run over time, but not too much. So apologies again for the long story. So this is it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Peter. Questions, please? Yes, Alexander Valentinovich, please.
Thank you very much for interesting your report. But I have such question. Did you consider synergy or
they capture the architecture which was designed, architecture of a safety critical application, and also the attacks which we included in our analysis. We didn't try to include every single attack for obvious reasons. We're not really paid by these companies to do their job. We were just developing a methodology and demonstrating how this can be done. But the attacks that we included and the attacks that I illustrated, we know, and we demonstrated, at least with the drones application, these attacks, we just have the scripts to do them and to essentially confuse the system to make it produce much longer delay. So the short answer to your question is yes, this is exactly what we did, and what I reported is exactly a demonstration that despite the complexity, quite a few things can be done, and the models indeed are helpful because you can immediately see. By the way, the owners of this demonstrator, Siemens, Austria, and it's a small SME from Spain, they were really quite impressed to see what comes out of this model. Because for them, just putting the hardware, running a few demonstrations that denial of service leads to attacks, this is obvious. You don't need to do it. Well, with the model, you can model so many subtle combination of circumstances which otherwise are just impossible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Peter, can I ask you?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And a few questions. First one are more general. As I understood, the main your application are related, first of all, automotive. Yes. Oh, was drone.
The drones, it's not automotive industry, which I showed earlier. This was the previous work prior to Aquos. We didn't have an application from automotive industry in this project, but they were all from other domains. But I guess you are getting to something else.
Yeah, yes. My question is, for this application, safety is a top attributes, yes, and security.
Yes.
Sub attributes.
Safety. We are looking. They are affected by security, but security itself is not a problem. It is only creates hazards. Yes. It need to be taken into account.
Is a final attributes. Yes, and very interesting. Was very interesting result of modeling considering attacks on sensors and other components of system. As I understood, the attacks on sensor are the most unsafe or insecure for this application. Yes, my question is how you simulate attacks on sensors, and if you can explain which kind of sensor you analyze.
What I did was relatively simple. I just say the proper reading of the sensor is A, and the perturbed reading is non-A. This is different. So this is how I model it. But in the project, we had other people with this railway application. They did model the sensor readings, including the perturbation of the sensor readings, by just saying the sensor is integer, 12 bits, and they would generate at random the readings. So this is a very high level simulation of wrong data. The key here to realize this, and this is what the colleagues observed, but it was obvious without spending time on generating this information, unless you are very careful what to simulate, most of the simulated perturbations, they will be picked up by the safety system trivially. It's not a problem. You really need to not just simulate perturbations, but to make them appear plausible. So if one sensor says A and all other sensors say B, clearly this guy is an outlier and it will be filtered, because this is how the safety system are designed. But if you manage to perturb them in a consistent way, then this is a problem, and they demonstrated in this particular case that safety system is hopeless. It can't deal with these very sophisticated perturbations of the sensors, because they don't appear randomly and they don't take random values, but they're dedicatedly done by somebody very clever and malicious, because they want to make this system fail. So the short answer is, in my models, I took a simplified approach, but in the project, some of the colleagues really went down to the level of hardware sensors, and they just replaced the normal readings with the readings which represent man in the middle in a meaningful way.
Okay, thank you, Hans. As I understood, in your case, considering top level of simulation, effects of attacks on sensor are very similar on failure, yes?
Yes, yes, yes. But the difference is that the failures, when you deal with the failures, you may assume that they are somewhat correlated, but assuming that they will occur at the same time is unreasonable, because no accidental failures occur simultaneously. The chances are really negligible. With the attacks, if somebody is clever and they prepare it well, they can execute perturbations which occur at the same time, and there is no way that you are going to detect that this is perturbed readings, not the genuine readings.
Thank you. And if it's possible, one question more. It's more general. You have not used concept of resilience and resilient system. As I understand, for automotive system, resilience is not really actual, or other sense.
No, proactive recovery that I mentioned, this cleansing, proactive recovery is a form of resilience, because they say, I don't really have to prevent the attacks. I don't rely on prevention. I'm saying, okay, if you are clever, you succeed, you hack one channel, you hack second channel, but if I have enough clean channels at any moment in time, I will, my system will survive. So this proactive recovery, they are all based on, you know this very well, the Byzantine generals, which don't make any assumptions about what the compromised replica can do. It can do anything. They can collude even to try to send to the rest some incorrect information. So this is the best resilience, cyber resilience that I have ever seen. There is nothing better. So in a sense, what I concentrated on is trying to parameterize and demonstrate that via models, I can tell these people prepared to deploy proactive recovery, they can use the models in order to say, I have to do it. I have to apply every hour, I need to clean a replica. If I don't do it, if I leave it for once a day, it is simply not good enough. So this is exactly what my number is showing. So how quickly we respond or do this cleansing makes a big difference. And if you have the model will tell you doing it once an hour is good enough, provided your expectation that the attacks are not going to be more frequent than the more polarized model. So I'm not sure whether it is very clear from my explanation, but yes, resilience is the essence, because I don't believe you can do cybersecurity without cyber resilience. This is just hopeless, and it has been seen so many times over the years that you really need to try something else. The real question is, if this proactive recovery is the best that we know, how do we deploy it? How frequently this cleansing has to be done? Because in the end, this is the only parameter which is at your disposal. This is the only thing that you can change. You can't tell the adversary, don't attack me more frequently than you please. The only thing that you can do is to say, I'm going to do this proactive recovery very frequently. So the window of opportunity is really very, very short for this guy to try to compromise sufficient number of replicas. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm glad that you put this up, because this is the essence, really. If we want to do it well, resilience is the only.
Thank you a lot.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Once again, apologies for my sloppiness, but better late than never. Okay, all the best.
Great, Sam.
Bye-bye.
And our next presentation and last presentation for today is a method of developing a checkable self-recovery floating point pipeline system. Professor Alexander Drozd, Odessa National Polytechnic University, Ukraine. Please, Alexander Valentinovich.
Slides. My presentation.
Yes, we see. Yes.
I can start.
Okay, yes, welcome.
Odessa National Polytechnic University team presents a method of developing a checkable self-recovery floating point pipeline system. You can see my cursors. And the email includes such questions as motivation, state of art, objectives, and so on. Motivation. We are motivated to develop advanced computer systems and information technologies implemented in them, but we'd like to know why and how, and what is it, this advanced computer system. That's why the motivation of this presentation is to understand how we are motivated in the development of the advanced computer system and what the system will look like. State of the art follows from the first question of the motivation slide. How we are motivated in the development of the advanced computer system. This system demonstrates a number of objectively evolving patterns which can be studied and the users used as an important prerequisite for designing the promising computer systems. That's why we will answer the first question by looking at the state of art in objectively evolving patterns. Studying all these patterns will answer the second question and explain why the development system should be floating point, pipeline, checkable, and self-recovery. The presentation aims to show objectively evolving patterns that form requirements for the development of promising computer systems and to propose a method of designing such a system. We suggest considering the following questions. Resource-based approach about objectively evolving patterns, relevance of approximate data processing, features of modern pipeline computer systems, why a fault-tolerant system may not be safe, basis provisions of the proposed method, synergy of functions of this designed system, and conclusions. Patterns observed in the development of computer systems can be viewed in terms of the resource-based approach that analyzes the integration of the computer world into the nature one. Integration problems are addressed in case of sufficient operational productivity or transfer finesse or results and investment of resources, models, methods, and means. Models are our ideas of the nature world and its components. Methods describe the transformations which are carried out with these resources and assessment of these resources. Means, material, and tools are material carriers of information resources. Models and methods are encoded by the organization and operation of the means. But in a shorter time frame. Observation of analogy suggests a common basis in the development of these words and dominance of objectively processes, the direction of which determines the vector of development. Integration into the natural world takes place by structuring under its features. The computer world exhibits to the highest degree two such features, parallelism and fuzziness. Do you understand?
Sandra Valentinovich, I'm sorry, we don't see your presentation.
Well, but
No, see.
Do you see my?
No.
No. As well?
Yes, okay.
Hmm? Do you see?
Yes, okay. Yes, okay.
Yes, thank you. The resource-based approach shows 3 levels of resource development, from replication to diversification and self-sufficiency as a goal of development. Replication is observed in the absence of conflict with the nature world. In open resource niches, market niches, technological, ecological, where integration takes place by stamping clones. This process is based on productivity, which aims to exceed fertility over mortality. Filling source niches leads to a crisis of overproduction, in which only who show features survive. They are transformed from clones to individuals versions, and thus are raised to the level of diversification, where integration is achieved through transfer finesse, adequacy to the natural world. All resources are developed from simple, consecutive, and exact form in accordance with the initial understandings and the possibilities of a human to real one, parallel and approximate under features of parallel and fuzzy nature world. Development of data we can see when code word with strongly connected accuracy and range size transform into 2-component number, where the size of significant and exponent determines accuracy and range respectively. The result of the calculation develops from the correct form to the reliable one with diversification of its bits by dividing into the most and least significant ones. Errors caused in these bits by a fault are divided into essential and inessential for the transfer finesse of the result. I'm sorry. Promising cyber physical safety-related systems, Internet of Things and everything, big data, receive initial data from sensors, measurement results that relate to approximate data. The mass production of personal computers, which has been going on for decades, allow us to trace the process of structuring to the features hardware support for approximate computing began with an optional Intel 287, 387 co-processor. In the Pentium processor, we see the emergence of FPU, floating point unit pipelines, to handle approximate data with increased performance. The modern graphics processor contains thousands of such pipelines, which are used for parallel computing by CUDA technology. Following the development vector is encouraged by outstanding achievements in key indicators, performance and memory, which have simultaneously increased millions of times from kilohertz to gigahertz, from megabyte to terabyte. It's important to note that no one planned such development of personal computers. The natural integration process shows objectively evolving patterns. That's why computer systems should be developed from approximate data processing in floating point format. The modern computer systems and their digital components are designed like pipelines which belongs to diversification level of resource development. However, sections of pipelines are single cycle matrix units related to replication level. A bright representative of the replication level is the iterative array multiplier. It performs a key operation of the processing of approximate data because it is used in floating point number representation. Therefore, all operations with matrices contain multiplication. The result of these operations inherits the properties of the product. N-bit iterative array multiplier contains n in power 2 operational elements and 2n-2 of which are connected in series. In the case of n is equal 32 or 64, each operation element is used by 1.6% and 0.8% of calculation time respectively. The rest of the clock cycle time is filled with parasitic glitches of signals due to different length of their propagation path. The number of glitches is many times more than the number of functional transitions. The dynamic and static components of energy consumption are mainly determined by glitches and large size of matrix structures. In the field of critical applications, computer systems are transformed into safety-related system, which aimed at ensuring functional safety of high-risk facilities to prevent accidents. Quantitative and qualitative growth of high-risk facilities, including powerful power plants and power networks, various types of weapons, determines the improvement of safety-related system as a priority in the development of ICT technologies for full integration into current international standards. Functional safety of safety-related system is based on the use of fault-tolerant solutions. In safety-related applications, fault tolerance is ensured by using multi-version technologies that counteract common cause failures. Problem of multi-version system is the complexity which grows together with the number of versions and therefore limits development of these systems. How such complexity is not the integral property, as well as full mutual independence of versions. In the natural world, multi-version systems in the natural world, multi-version systems show the inverse property. Versions are functionally connected among themselves. For example, we can see the high functionality of the fingers on the hand. Systems with strongly connected versions start with 3 versions. 2 versions must be independent. 3 versions can have a common part. For example, residue number system with additional modulo 9, 7, or 5 in 3 versions for error detection. Pairing of common cause failures in the connected versions is based on 2 conditions. The set of versions has to contain at least one right version, independent of faults, and a method to research the right version. To search. Resource niches are particularly prone to closure in the field of safety-related applications. Computer systems become safety-related by diversification of the operating mode, which is divided into normal and emergency ones. In matrix structures, such separation is inherited by input data, which become different in these models and diversify structure functional checkability, creating the problem of hidden faults. These faults can be accumulated during normal mode, which doesn't use the input data that displays them, and cause many failures when the input data changes in emergency mode. The number may exceed capabilities of any fault tolerance system. Fault tolerance ensures functional safety only with sufficient checkability. In practice, the hidden fault problem is solved by means of imitation modes, which recreate emergency conditions and repeatedly lead to them due to human factor or by fault. The restore-based approach identifies the hidden fault problem as a growth challenge when the system in checkability rises to the level of diversification and its components continue to be stamped based on matrix structures relating to the replication level. This interpretation of the problem determines the ways to solve it by developing components in checkability to the system level. In arithmetic circuits, matrix structures combine arrays of uniform operational elements with regular connection and can be unified as a line of series connected elements. This structure, consisting of m elements, is being supplemented by additional element and is transformed in a ring, which serves as the basis for constructing the pipeline station as a system with strongly connected versions. The system contains an operating block in the form of a ring, control block, checking block, blocks of operand and results. The ring consists of m+1 elements and n+1 units, which can break the ring between the neighboring elements. A ring break converts it to a line of elements with one extra element located at the last position. Thus, the system can be in one of the m+1 states, in each of which contains the version of the original line and its additional its addition by an extra element. The failure of this block, because the code is calculates is not involved in the operation. The control block contains a modular m+1 counter storing the state code, which is the version number. The checking block checks the result and changes the state code to the next value in case of error. Operands and result contains m bits and 0 bit an extra additional position. The blocks of operand results comprise m plus 1 bit shifters, which select operands and result according to the current version. The permanent change of version makes the system checkable even with minimal operand changes. The system fixes the version after the fault is detected and excluded. The developed system as pipeline, checkable self-recovery and floating point performance performs a specific function. We can see the synergy of these functions at simplifying the system and improving it in counteracting the faults. The system is simplified in the joint implementation of such functions, normalization, renormalization of mantises, and search the right version, pipeline, and the change of versions. The system improves counteracting the faults in the joint implementation of mantise processing and self-recovery with strongly connected iterative shows the error probability, the probabilities of an essential error One minute, but do you see my?
No, we can see.
How long?
2 minutes.
Conclusions. The development of the computer world demonstrates a dominant objectively evolving patterns, following which is an important prerequisite for the design of promising computer systems. Structuring resources under the parallelism and fuzziness of the natural world advances the development of pipeline systems for processing approximate data. Filling and closing resource niches encourage the development of high-risk facilities and safety-related systems with increased functional safety requirements, which is based on the use of checkable fault-tolerant solutions. Thus, there is a need to develop checkable fault-tolerant floating-point pipeline systems. The proposed method of developing a promising computer system uses the synergy of its special functions. Thank you for attention.
Thank you.
Questions, please.
Dear colleague, do you have some questions? Okay, I have one. did you investigate the computational complexity of your proposed technique?
I don't listen.
Hello, do you listen me? Are you hear me?
Voice is actually, yes, repeat please.
Did you investigate the computational complexity of your technique, of your method?
Yes, of course. I taken into account complexity, and this complexity reduces when we ensuring several important functions as recovery, as pipeline, as approximate data processing and checkable.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask you, Alexander? Thank you very much for your presentation. My question is, as I understand, the application of these methods is FPGA-based system, yes?
Yes, we now provide experiments in FPGA, but it's current station of this.
Of faults you applied,
Yes.
you used. I mean, how it is connected with model of electronic design of FPGA project?
Yes, we consider short in neighboring points in elements matrix
Actual statistics of faults of
devices.
FPGA components.
For FPGA, I don't know now, because we built a program model of that for iterative array multiplier, 80% of results without error.
Yes, but as I understood, you use a model of single faults. Yes, but for single faults, единичные неисправности.
Yes, but we research majority system with multiple faults from 1 to 6, and we research transferness of results. And for majority system, for one channel, it was 85% for 5 faults, but for majority 19.7.
It's a result of your simulation or it's expert assessment?
It's program modeling.
Yes, but for single for model of single faults, yes.
For 5 independent faults in 3 channels for majority system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for my technical problems. We have a thunderstorm and technical problems with internet. Great thanks all our plenary speakers for your very interesting presentation. Sergey, say please a few words about certificate.
You see?
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, we see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have preparing certificates for you, and we will send these certificates to your email. And tomorrow we will start at 9:30 a.m. And by Kyiv time, session first, Intelligent Information Technologies. Welcome. I wish everyone fruitful work and interesting presentations. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. And have a nice evening today.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.